All right, remember the last time I covered Eric July? I remember the last time I covered Eric July. Everything was on fire, and I kept being called a, a nasty word we use to describe people with children. That was fun. That was a fun, entertaining time. But I guess I'll go ahead and cover him again because he's got some opinions about the writer's strike. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. But first, let's get into the fan art section. This first one is from Alex Rick. Should I color it or keep it black and white? You should do whatever you want with it. But Magical Girl Transformation Suris, you guys may not know it, but that's a thing that's coming. That's a thing that's coming. Suzu Sawara is a wonderful artist who's doing some wonderful things. Also there's Lord Dumpy here because of course there is. The next one we have here is from Mathematical Cabbage. Axo says there's a new galactic waifu, so Void Chan and Hole Chan love dressing up Suris. I'm so tired. There's just Void Chan and Hole Chan, and none of these words are in the Bible. The last one we have here is from Anubian. Chat screams into the void. More Void Chan. I want to avoid this. Chan. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. And I guess we got things to do now. Discord, subscribe, bell notification icon. Anyway. Eric July, everybody, on the writer's strike.
Strike thing. I will as this whole strike thing. I will talk about that here in a little bit, but as that is, it sounds like it's going to be inevitable. You got to understand that this is happening during a period of time where budgets right now for Hollywood are out of control, and really that's all that's being negotiated here. Some of that is work terms and all of that and conditions, but most part it's about money, right? It's about money. And with that being said, it's like, wow, man, how much more do you guys need? There's a lot of crap that's being produced that costs on over to $200-300 million, $400 million. Like, what else?
Wait, hold on. What more do you guys need? Okay, so maybe it would be a good idea if Eric July would actually look at the wages for people who are writing on these shows. We look at the overinflated Hollywood budgets, and we think of where that money is going, and a lot of times it's not going to the writers department. It's going to the actors, it's going to the special effects department, and even then, they're working on shoestring budgets for the timescale they're working on. So let's talk about how TV budgets work. It used to be that if you were making a TV show, you would be making that TV show for an entire on-air season. It would be going up on TV, you'd have an episode every week or two, and you would be working on that television show for about a year or two. That's how TV shows used to be made. But now we have the binge model. The binge model has created a huge problem. Also, Rosetta, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. I know there's people who bemoan the model that we get where we have staggered releasing of streamable completed shows, but honestly, the staggered release schedule, the thing that we got so used to with old TV, this was part of the way that TV used to work, and it is what allowed people to continue having jobs. I'm dead serious. So as of right now, if somebody's working on a Netflix series, right? The amount of time they're working on that series, shooting and all that stuff, is probably going to take them about a month. People start these jobs in the writing room, doing all this shit. They have to get all this shit done in a small amount of time. Because as opposed to writing episode by episode, they're writing an entire show at once. The binge model is not the same model that we had for TV for years. The binge model wants you to watch an entire TV show basically as if it is one long movie, right? Let's be honest. An 8-episode Netflix series is just a movie. It's just a really long movie. That's all it is. That's how it's being made. Whereas TV used to be made, especially syndicated TV, on an episode-by-episode basis. When people have these types of jobs where they have to work for 4 weeks at a time, get everything done, they have to then string another gig together. They have to grab another job right after that. It used to be that, oh, I'm working on this show. I'll be here for a year or two. Or if the show gets renewed, I'll be here for even longer. But that's not how shows are made now, because they're made so quickly, shot out to be consumed, enjoyed, and then, regurgitated back. These people cannot have stable jobs in the industry. So what are they doing right now? Well, they're noting a couple things. Writers' wages have decreased by 23% when you adjust for inflation, compared to what they were 15 years ago, before the Netflix boom. They're noting that they are not only having to work longer hours, they are having to work shorter periods of time, trying desperately to bid for job after job after job afterwards. They are having to deal with increased burnout as a result of this, but the actual wages they are getting paid is infinitely less than what they used to get. It's infinitely less than what they used to be getting paid. Even if somebody's making $10 an hour 10 years ago, and they're making $11 an hour now, they're not actually making more money, because once you adjust for inflation, that $11 an hour does not stretch as far as what $10 an hour did 10 years ago. Yes, Eric, it is about money. It is entirely about money. But it's about money in a way that should make sense. You, working on YouTube, making your own comic, you are most likely what most would consider just an independent content creator. This isn't something that really affects you. And a lot of people can fall into the trap, and I understand you could too. A lot of people fall into the trap of, oh, I can make this on my own. I make this on my own. They could do it too. I don't make a lot of money doing it. They could do it too. But that's not how getting paid fairly for a job that you do should work. But let's continue.
Could they possibly want budgets in general, even the smaller budgets? They're just overspending really across the board right now with Hollywood, and it's making things very interesting.
As if every single person who works for Netflix, who works for streaming services, as if every single person who works in the writing gig for shows is part of Hollywood. Hollywood has overinflated budgets for movies because the mid-budget movie doesn't really exist anymore. But that's not the majority of what writers' jobs are. They are also working in streaming services. The only way Eric can possibly get this wrong is by ignoring the bulk of writers who exist.
Because as talked about right here, they're bracing for an actor strike. This union has informed industry publicists to brace themselves for potential actor strike in Hollywood if negotiations fail with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. So not only did you have the whole writer's strike thing, you now have the actors striking as well. The National Board has...
Yeah, because a lot of times the actors will actually stand with their writers. In fact, actually, we can take a look at this right now. Unions give an update on the actors' strike. The Writers Guild of America has been on strike since May of this year. Screen Actors Guild, American Federation, television and radio artists started striking shortly after in July. While only the unions representing writers... Fuck advertisements, Jesus Christ. While only the unions representing writers and actors are on the picket lines, the rest of the film industry can only sit and wait. That includes members of the local and technical crews represented by the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. That union hosted a film expo for those interested in film careers. SAG-AFTRA representatives also came to update local actors on their strike. One concern for actors continues to be the use of artificial intelligence. Our big issue on AI is consent and proper compensation. So if you're going to use me, pay me properly. Don't offer to scan me and use me in perpetuity for this. That's a reasonable thing to wonder, because, so, as an example, I've been playing World of Warcraft Classic, and I've been using the AI mod for WoW Classic that voices over the game. Now, granted, there's no money being made off of that AI mod. It's a user-made, user-generated thing. But if Hollywood, as an industry, is planning on using this technology, the way AI voice generation works is it has to take samples that have been recorded, paid for, used by other people, and then use those samples in order to generate new lines of dialogue based on what it knows the cadence and style and baritone of a person's speech pattern is. This generative technology can create issues when it is scanning copyrighted material, or material that is supposed to be used under a contract where you get things like residuals for it. If there is no clause that Hollywood has where residuals can be given for use of AI, then what reason does an actor have for lending their voice to a project? If they lend their voice to a project, they have to do it knowing that, oh, there's a chance that my shit's going to get used against my will by somebody in this industry who's supposed to be paying me or looking out for my best interests. Now, I will go ahead and say that I may have made a mistake here. And if Eric is only talking about the actor's strike, then there is at least a chance that I got the actor and writer strike mixed up in the beginning here. But regardless, whether or not somebody is being paid what you would be considered a ludicrous amount or a high amount, if you do work, you deserve to be compensated. If you do work and then that work is repurposed over and over and over again, and your contract doesn't allow for that, or there was no clause in the contract about it, and that needs to be renegotiated later on, I don't think that's unreasonable. Reza says 80% of actors don't get paid that much. Well, because most people who are acting in the industry are not the biggest names ever. Like, you've got your Chris Pratts and you've got your other actors who don't voice Mario. You've got your actors out there who are big names, who make a lot of money for their roles, but you're right. The majority of people, the people who bulk up these roles, the people who bulk up these movies, don't make that much money. Not compared to the big names here. Hell, there are even positions in Hollywood or in the film industry that are unpaid, that are known for being unpaid. The food runner, basically. The person who goes and makes sure that everything is brought, food and water and drink-wise and all of that, to the tables for everybody on set. That person is usually not paid at all. I know, because I've been that person. I've done that one. I know that one's an unpaid job.
The option to call a strike if they won't agree on a deal that bolsters performers' careers and ensures their profession remains one that can support a dignified livelihood. This is what union leaders told PR agencies on Monday. During a call with the agency's publicists, asked union leaders a variety of questions, such as if their clients would be allowed to sit for panels at the upcoming San Diego Comic-Con, and if promotional obligations outside the United States would be kosher. It's understood that call participants included about 140 PR reps from the top firms. It says the unions, all these people that participated in it, that didn't really answer the question. We said the current
wait. Did it? Hold on. It's understood that call participants included about 140 PR reps from the top firms, as well as Duncan, Canterbury, Ireland, National Executive Chief Director, the Union Chief's Contracts Officer, and Marketing Communications Chief. Okay, so that doesn't actually answer it. He's right on that one.
It didn't really answer the question. We said the current contract between them will expire at midnight on July the 20th. If parties fail to come to an agreement,
that's not a 20. That's a 12. That's a 12.
One producer told Variety that it would be a miracle if an agreement were reached. So the actors go on strike. It will likely put the upcoming promotion for Barbie, Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, and Mission Impossible if the union bars actors from speaking about their current projects. Unions are so silly because they force.
Wait. How? How is that silly? How is that silly? How is it silly for a union to go, hey, we're on strike. These are the picket lines. Don't cross the picket lines. How's that silly? What? How? This is the motherfucker who thinks that we don't need to pay for fucking roads. Jesus Christ.
Everybody into this kind of gang, if you will, and then everybody has to be on one accord. And they
yes, because that's the okay. So here's how a union works. Okay, here's how a union functions. When the union members are not getting paid enough, or not getting health care benefits, or not getting what they need from their employers, the union goes, okay, then if you are going to do that, then we are going to revoke the use of anybody who is in the union here. We are going to make it to where you cannot use these actors, these writers, these screenplay makers. You're not going to be able to use these people. It makes the company go, oh, okay, then we'll go ahead and do what you need. Now. You may say, well, that's very stupid, because then how will I not get my entertainment? Nobody gives a fuck about your entertainment. Let's talk about why this is a good thing. Because if you do not have a picket line, that is there, that is meant to not be crossed, then what the companies can do is they can wait for there to be people who go, oh, but I'll do that job for less pay. Oh, you were only paying him $15 an hour? Well, I need work right now. I'll do it for 12. I really need the money. I need it, man. I need the money bad. I'll do it now. And because that is a common-ass thing for people who are desperate for work to deal with, they will exploit themselves in order to get some amount of pay. The function of a union is to provide pay during a strike. They provide pay to their people during the strike so that their people can still put food on the table while they are making sure that a fair contract that is not exploitative is reached with the company. Because otherwise, the only person who ever has power in the dynamic of you and the employer is the employer. Now, there are corrupt unions. I'm not going to deny that. The police union's a thing that exists. But if you do not have that grouping of people working on your behalf, then you will get continually less pay. Because if you do not work for the lower amount of pay, then the minute they do not need somebody with your level of experience, you may be let go, and somebody who has less experience, who is willing to do the job for less pay, will come in and take your job from you. And it won't be their fault. They need a job just as much as you. It'll be your employer's fault for getting rid of your expertise in favor of expediency and lowering their salary, their salary budget. That's what a union's for, Eric. The whole point of a union is to make it so that people get paid fairly, or in this case, with AI, at all.
They somehow had tried to package that as if it was necessary. And this isn't just with act.
Yeah, it is necessary, you dipshit. Without a union, you wouldn't have things like a 40-hour work week. The whole point of a union is to say, hey, we're going to have this safeguard that allows us to operate as a cohesive unit because the employer is already going to operate like a cohesive unit. They've got a representative with a laundry list of things that they're going to come to the table with, and we've got a bunch of individual atomized people who are, in many cases, desperate to get food on their table. We're going to make sure this unit is not atomized so that pieces of it can't bleed out into the person who is exploiting you. That's the point of a fucking union, Eric.
Actors and actresses, but it's also they package it as if it's bad things would happen in the event that a union didn't exist.
Yeah, if a union didn't exist, then actors would get exploited more. Screenwriters would get exploited more. People who are let's go ahead and throw out an example right there. Artists whose dream it is to use their art to put food on the table for their families. Artists who are desperate to make any amount of money off of their work, who routinely cut their own pay just so that they can get people to look at their commission sheets. These people who have real skills that need to be compensated for, these people, instead of accepting that they have expertise that a company needs to make their production, these people will sell their souls for the lowest amount of money possible so that they can have their name on one of these productions in hopes that one day having their name on this will allow them to go into a job that doesn't fuck them sideways. But when you have a union, they can negotiate things like your starting pay. They can negotiate things like your health care benefits. You don't have any power there because I guarantee you, for most artists, and you've probably felt this feeling, especially being on Twitter, you feel like you're part of a dime a dozen. You feel like any other artist out there could do the job that you're doing right now and probably better. You feel that right now. Companies will prey on that. Companies will prey on that. Companies will take that idea that anybody could do this job. You're just the warm body that we're putting in here so that they can pay you less. The point of a union is to have an advocate that can keep you straight, that can keep you advocating for yourself. No, you don't accept $10 an hour when you come in to do this job that you've been training for the last 15 years. Absolutely fucking not. You accept 15, 20, 25. You accept something that is higher than the bare minimum. Eric, I understand if you are just an independent creator that this might not occur to you, but other people who have jobs like getting paid fair wages, unions are one of the tools that allow people to get paid fair wages.
Which is hilarious. The move to strike appears to have the support from top-level actresses. They're all endorsing a strike. A strike brings incredible hardships so many and no one wants, but we are prepared to strike if it comes to that, the letter said, adding that the 2023 became an unprecedented inflection point in our industry. So they have a lot of the digital changes that, with streaming services, and they feel like they're not getting paid accordingly, as well as this threat of AI, which...
Oh, so he actually knows the reasons why they're striking, and he's just being stupid.
Hilariously enough, that threat might become more prominent in the event that well, that's more so, I guess, applying to the writers, but in general, the industry itself is going to find itself people looking at that as more of an option. Let's say these producers, as these strikes and negotiations seem to fail.
Wait, did Eric just make the dumb fucking point that if the actors and the companies cannot come to an agreement, if the actors and the companies can't come to an agreement, then the companies would just use AI to replace them anyway? That the AI that would be based off of models, off of their writing and their voice banks, that is part of the negotiations to begin with? You realize that the whole point of this is that you could bring somebody under legal fire for that, right, Eric? You understand that. That if they strike, the companies will use AI more. Does this guy like the taste of boots? Does he just love the taste of boots? I mean, he was on Michael Knowles recently. I guess he does love the taste of boots. But yes, Eric, there is a threat of people in industries being replaced by AI. There is a threat of that. That is a thing that people are trying to figure out how they're going to navigate. That is why the strike is happening. It's not the other way around. It's not the strike is happening, therefore AI is going to take over. It's people are worried about AI taking over, therefore the strike is happening.
They say, we hope you've heard the message from us. This is an unprecedented inflection on our industry, and what might be considered a good deal in any other years is simply not enough. We feel that our wages, our craft, our creative freedom, and the power of our union have all been undermined in the last decade. We need to reverse those trajectories. This is what they're saying. We want you to know that we will rather go on strike than compromise on those fundamental points. And we believe that if we settle for a less than transformative deal, the future of our union and our craft will be undermined. This is what I say, and they're not going to listen to me. I'm not a Hollywood producer.
You also don't have most of your brain cells functioning, but let's hear it.
I say let them strike, but this is also what I will say. If you are a creative, you're an actor, you're a writer, I don't know if you're going to get a better opportunity in history right now. You see what the reverse deal with comics. I believe that the filmmaking industries, definitely with independence, you're going to offer yourself it's an opportunity that you can't really afford to pass up on. As they
Getting exploited for 23% less pay than people got a decade ago? Is it? Yeah, he's telling people to scab. He's just telling people to scab. He's just telling people to cross that picket line and scab out.
The top dogs, the mainstream, if you will, continues to do stupid.
Kitty Destruction. A scab is somebody who, during a strike, crosses the picket line. Now, here's the thing. If you scab out, then you actually can be barred from getting future jobs in the industry. That's a thing that can happen, because most of the jobs are negotiated through the union. If you scab out, the union can literally just blacklist you. Now, I know for Eric, he would say, well, that's a bad thing. No, that's a fucking good thing. The union is trying to do fundraising to make sure that they can pay everybody's wages when Hollywood can't. The whole point is to stand in solidarity. Think of it like a military, right? Think of it like a military. Right? If somebody's in the military and your unit needs to stand strong to keep the enemy from crossing, what happens when a bunch of people just defect? You fucking lose. And then what happens? Well, your country punishes you. A union's the exact same way. Most of the ways that we do organization in the world are remarkably similar to one another. You don't want people in unions to have the opportunity to scab out and take the job of some striking worker, because then everything gets screwed. The companies then get to go, oh, well, if we got one of you, what if we got a few more of you? You're just a few more writers, and then, you know, maybe we don't have to negotiate with the union, and then we can pay them whatever we want, and then, God, I know you're not getting paid a whole lot for this job, but you really want your name on this production so that you can get another job after that, right? Don't you want a recommendation from the company? Don't you want that? That's a thing you need. It would sure be a shame if you didn't have it anymore, if you didn't have that recommendation or that credit on this. Hollywood's never, and no industry has ever had a problem with crediting their artists appropriately. Anyway.
Things. This is giving you an opening. This is giving you an opportunity to do your thing and correct certain issues that if you feel there are economic issues. I continue to refer back to the Riververse because that was a part of it, right? It wasn't just trying to be a part of the solution from the content issues, but also the economic issues. And I make sure my artists are paid. I make sure my writers are paid. I make sure everybody that's a part of this company are paid well and on time. And this is something that you can kind of fix, but it's so much red tape and so many middlemen, and you got these stupid unions. These issues are not going to correct themselves.
Of course they're not going to correct themselves. The whole point of the union is accepting that it's not going to correct itself. The actual point of the union is to correct the problem because you understand the problem won't correct itself. How do you make sure that a company will pay fair wages to its employees without some type of threat to the employee? How do you do that? How do you come to that table with that negotiating power? And you can't just say, oh, well, you just negotiate with them. With what? With what? To the company, you are a number. You are a warm body. You can be replaced by anyone. The point of a union is to regain that individuality. It sounds counterintuitive, I know, if you've not listened to people who are pro-union before, but I would suggest you maybe listen to less country music and more folk music. Maybe that would fucking help. But the fact of the matter is, Eric, you're right. This problem won't fix itself. And I'm so happy that you pay your artists well and you pay your people well for the thing you do. I'm so happy that you are the unique special snowflake that has solved all the problems in the industry and that you have all the best solutions, and if only Hollywood would emulate you, then everything would be better. But until we have that perfect Ripaverse that you're arguing about, then maybe it would be a good idea for people to advocate for themselves. And as it turns out, advocating for yourself only goes so far. So sometimes we have to advocate for ourselves through multiple other people. Human beings work better as part of a group than they do as individuals. As a part of a group, we can build dams, we can build cities, we can make hospitals, we can develop insanely imaginative technologies. As individuals, we can only go so far. You need your fellow man. You need your fellow person around you. We live in a society. That's about as far as I plan on getting here. I'm not going to pay the last 50 seconds of his video any mind. Because, honestly, he doesn't pay the entirety of my videos any mind, so I think it's only fair. But as always, let me know what you think in the comments section below. And, you know, unions are good. Don't be a scab. Insert end of video tagline here.